5 worst pieces of financial advice you'll ever hear. Hey folks, I'm Daniel. Let's get right into it. Number 1 is YOLO. This is fun and kind of catchy, and it stands for you only live once, but it's often the excuse that people use to justify taking unnecessary risk with their money. It's in the same vein as you can't take it with you. I'm not saying we shouldn't reward ourselves for hard work. There's nothing like blowing off some steam after a brutal work week. There's definitely a time to work and a time to play, but that's rarely what people are referencing when they say YOLO. It's usually more like, I'm going to take on this $700 a month car payment because YOLO. Or take this Reddit post on Wall Street Bets. I blocked out the name because my goal isn't to embarrass them, but to illustrate a point. They went all in on a gamble and they lost a decent chunk of change that they labeled their life savings. I have no idea how young this person is, but $30,000 sounds like a solid emergency fund, a decent car that's paid for, or the beginning of a down payment on a first home. In 30 years, if they don't contribute anything to a solid index fund, it would be worth about $600,000. Not enough to retire by itself, but YOLO, am I right? Second on the list is to invest in crypto. Crypto is a currency, not really an investment. If you receive joy from speculating with currency, more power to you. However, let's call a spade and not allow ourselves to be fooled into thinking that this time will be different. Just because there's hype doesn't mean it's a good investment. There's something called the greater fool theory in finance that argues that prices will continue to go up regardless of valuations and earnings because there will always be a greater fool that is willing to buy them. As a result, there's a get-rich-quick aspect to crypto that attracts a lot of bad actors, and with billions of dollars pouring in, you can see people start to get a little flexible in what they will endorse. In May of 2019, Shark Tank's Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary called Bitcoin garbage and said that he's not a believer in any cryptocurrency, calling it crypto crap. Fast forward to 2021, and the same Kevin O'Leary wrote that FTX finally solved my compliance problems with cryptocurrencies. A little over a year later, in December of 2022, when FTX was in the news for completely imploding, CNBC wrote that O'Leary was paid $15 million to endorse FTX. That $15 million that he received is now worth exactly nothing. At the end of the interview, Mr. O'Leary said it was not a good investment. He could probably forget more than I'll ever know about the business world, and people are entitled to change their mind. For him, losing $15 million probably isn't that big of a deal. But I remember asking myself at the time why he changed his mind and started actively endorsing crypto. Did he genuinely believe in crypto with good reason? Did he do his due diligence on the compliance problems of crypto? I have no idea. The facts as reported by CNBC are that he got a fat check from FTX and threw his name behind them. You be the judge. It was a legal transaction, it's a free country, and everything was voluntary. It doesn't mean that it's good advice for the rest of us. Real quick, you deserve the best content. If you're enjoying this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button just to let me know that I should make more content like this. That instant feedback is a great way to let me know. Number 3 on the list of worst pieces of financial advice is you don't need an emergency fund, you can borrow. According to the Federal Reserve, 44% of Americans are carrying a balance of over $6,000 on their credit card. Just for kicks, I hopped on over to NerdWallet to see what credit cards they were recommending. The top recommendation for 2023 was this Chase credit card, where they will generously loan me money for anywhere from 19 to 28% APR. They're so nice. I plugged that number into a handy dandy credit card calculator, and lo and behold, on the average balance of $6,300 at 25% interest means that they will pay nearly $12,000 over the course of 15 years on $6,300. I hear people all the time talk about points, airline miles, introductory rates at 0%, and their genius balance transfers. I don't think any of this will make someone wealthy. It doesn't mean that wealthy people don't use credit cards. That's not what I'm saying, but there's a difference between what they may use and what helped them achieve their wealth. Dun & Bradstreet did a study that showed the use of credit cards and reward systems caused spending to go up anywhere from 12 to 18%. Most likely that 2% cash back is being offset by your increased spending. Instead of investing energy in trying to minimize the pain that a credit card can inflict on our lives, I would focus on things like whether we're investing in ourselves with learning new skills or getting knowledge, or making sure we've maxed out our Roth IRA. Are we getting the employer match in our employer-sponsored retirement plan? Are we maxing it out? Are we tracking our net worth? These are the questions that will lead to us winning with money. Focusing on credit card rewards is just not going to make that much of a difference. Number 4 is just to get a degree and take out the student loans to get it, and it will pay for itself. That same report from the Federal Reserve had the average household student loan debt at around $40,000. NerdWallet did the same survey 3 years later, showing that student loans had skyrocketed to an average of nearly $60,000. That amount in one clean, easy payment is nearly $700 a month, but they're often not clean and consolidated like that. I've coached many people who have had over $1,000 or $1,500 in monthly student loan payments. My opinion is that a college degree has some value, but just like investing in the stock market, do we want to pay a premium price for an average product? Additionally, recent studies have shown that 60% of millennials put off buying a home because of student loans. If we're going to school to work in a white-collar industry that clearly rewards academic credentials and advanced degrees, then an argument can be made for taking out loans for an education. Like any other investment, the end goal is to get a return on our investment, and a college education can provide that. I want the bridge that I drive on to have been designed by a knowledgeable and experienced engineer. I definitely want the doctor operating on me to have the skills, knowledge, and experience to do no harm. However, that's not what the majority of high schoolers are being told. It's been a while since I graduated from high school, but I was told to get a degree no matter what if you want to be successful. This is awful advice. I know many people that never went to college to get a four-year degree. Instead, they went into the trades where they were educated with hands-on training and are making great money and building a life and family without the burden of student loans. There are websites like Udemy and Coursera where you can learn valuable skills without the massive price tag. Knowledge and education are important, but getting them through the traditional means has turned into a nightmare. Look at this chart from CNBC that examines the increase in average college costs when compared to earnings for young workers. Way up at the top right is the cost. Way down below is the average earnings. Look, I'm not saying that college is bad. All I'm saying is that no employer has ever asked me where I went to school or what I minored in. It was just a recruiter checking a box. The takeaway here is if you think the field you're interested in is going to require a degree, get it for as low a cost as possible and focus all your time and energy on being amazing in your field instead of just pursuing a credential. Otherwise, that 4 or 5 years of schooling will stick with you for the next 10 or 20 years in the form of student loans, and your wages won't necessarily match it. Your mileage may vary. Okay, number 5 on the list of worst advice is to finance your car versus paying cash. This one is a huge problem for Americans, with 37% of Americans carrying an average balance of around $18,000. With an average car payment for new vehicles setting a new record in 2022 at $700 a month, and used cars not far behind at over $500 a month, I just don't understand the priority here. A vehicle is a depreciating asset. COVID and lockdowns caused a temporary change to this, but it's already starting to return to normal. If we just love cars and we want a nice one and we're still checking all the financial planning boxes, that's great. If you financed your car, I would ask you if you're also contributing to your Roth IRA. A survey published by Investment Company Institute shows that although most U.S. households were eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA, only 12% contributed anything in tax year 2019. With the IRA contribution limits updated for 2023 to $6,500, this amounts to about $540 a month. This almost perfectly matches the amount of the average used car payment, which is $525. I don't think this is a coincidence. If you're not firing on all cylinders with your money, I would encourage you to scale back the amount of money being spent on your vehicle and to accelerate your investments. If you must finance it, I would encourage you to consider something more modest in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. That should keep your payments relatively low and give you a bit of margin. The goal is to pay it off early and not spread it out over 72 months. All right, folks, that's it for today. If you like this video and want to see more like it, click this link on the screen somewhere. Later.